Okay, so we have our web form project up and running. We have our SQL database, okay, which is named ArtHouse in our app data folder. Through the Server Explorer, we can access the objects inside, and it's very similar to working inside of SQL Server Management Studio. So we have our three tables and our view. So let's get started on our standard stored procedures. I'm going to let you finish them, but I'm going to help you get started here. So if I right click, I can say add new stored procedure. Well, truth is, it's not a full-blown wizard here. It's just opening an actual, basically a query window. Notice there's an update, right? It kind of saves us the convenience. We don't have to worry about switching between create and alter. Okay, we can just redefine the procedure here and update it as many times as we want as we make further changes, right? But it just gives us the most basic, okay, template here to follow, right? So what we're going to do then is I'm going to start by just changing, okay, the minimum information we need. So to follow some kind of a naming convention, this will be our artwork. Select all, right? Okay. And for the select all procedures, remember, we don't need parameters. We don't need no stinking badges or parameters. There we go. So I just take them out. So, and before I get into anything else, remember what we talked about in terms of no count, right? Sorry, I had the wrong thing in my paste buffer. Okay, here we go. Set. Okay, watching me type is something that's painful, and I try to avoid making you do it as much as possible. So here we are. Artwork select all. So this is your basic first standard sort procedure, selecting everything. Now we are selecting from our view, right? And notice that I've included all the fields from the view, the eagerly loaded data, and the actual name of the art type, the actual name of the artist is in there. I'm just leaving out for now, for simplicity, the timestamp and auditing fields, right? We'll deal with those later on. So this is how we would actually create a stored procedure. And notice when I click the update button here, right, it should hopefully execute. It'll prepare a script to do the whole thing. And then you can either generate the script if you really want to see it, or just select update database. And there we go. So we see it completed successfully. So not surprisingly now, I should, if I refresh, I see my select all stored procedure, right? Here it will actually even give me some details about it and so on and so forth. Okay, so what I can do, a way to kind of reuse this, suppose I want to now go on to create the select by ID, right? I don't have to start from scratch. By ID, right? So here, of course, we do need a parameter, right? At ID int. Okay, so it's exactly the same except we're going to add the where clause. Where the, we'll do a tab. Okay, ID equals at ID. Okay, so that stored procedure now will return the one record. Notice that all of our, if we're going to do other filter ones and so on, the general rule is this, the projection, the select clause should always stay the same. That way the user interface doesn't get confused by getting different data being sent for different types of stored procedures, select stored procedures, right? Now, if I click update again now, I will have created my new, okay, stored procedure. All right. Now, I'm not going to do all of the exercise work for you, but I think I should give you at least one more. So I'm going to come in here. We're going to also create the artwork insert, just to help clarify this whole business of not using the timestamp and audit fields for now, right? So we know that we're going to want the primary key, but with an insert, we know that that is going to be an output. right? That'll be an output parameter. So you normally would throw that at the end. So here are other parameters, right? We're going to need parameters for all of the other fields, and we make sure the data types match, okay? So that's all the data we're inserting into the record. Notice that we don't have the actual names of the artists. We just have like the artist ID, the foreign key values, because we are going to be working with the actual table itself, right? So let me just finish making these changes. Okay, so I did a little bit of work offline here. I don't need that comment. It's pretty clear. All right, just to save some screen space. So we set no count to off because of course we do want to give a number of rows affected messages, right? And then down here, okay, we have our insert command. So we're inserting into the artwork table, not the view, the table, the data that's required for all the fields, okay, values coming from the parameters we defined up top. The last thing we're missing, right? We want to use scope identity to return the newly generated ID for the new, I was going to say movie, sorry, for the new piece of artwork, right? As long as it actually succeeded in the row count as 1, then that sets our output parameter. So we'll be able to access that from the client and see what it is. Okay, so I can just click update and update database, and away we go. So now I have in my stored procedures, let me do a quick refresh here. Okay, so I have my select all, select by ID, my insert, right? So you get the idea. So you're going to want to do the same type of work, get the final 2 of the 5 standard sort procedures done, as well as the instructions ask you to make lookup procedures for both the art type and the artist. Here's a bit of a hint. If you look again at the view, right? Let me just right click on the view and open the definition. Right, so when you're the second column of your list style stored procedure is probably going to be something a bit like that, right? Where you concatenating the name together in a way that works very well for a nice alphabetical listing by last name and first name, right? Okay, that's all the hints I'm going to give you. I'll let you go ahead and do your own work on exercise 1.